this a metal thing?
Yes. A little taste.
David, what is this?
It's pretty thick.
Right.
I have to kill a lot of people. Just tell me what you want me to fuck.
I have big tits and a tiny vagina.
Oil me up, Daddy.
I can't believe that Bryce prefers big tits. Mistletoe alert. This is backcountry.
This guy was a real jerk.
How long can Hugo be pregnant?
Chomp, 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 chomp.
Oh, you're such a dick, David.
Okay, everybody, put on your corpse handling gloves.
Ew.
Hoodie Picasso.
Hey, welcome everyone. Can we just take a moment and appreciate that awesome intro song by Fart Simpson?
Yeah, isn't that great?
I don't think we talk about that enough, how much I enjoy that every time we play it. Max's is great too.
Oh yeah,
I really like that one too.
and Bugsy's. Don't forget Bugsy's.
But there's something about just the volume of drops
Yeah,
and the amount of care and expertise that went into
I like
that.
the guitar solo a lot.
Yeah.
Whittly-diddly-doo.
Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk. Your panel of expert hosts each week are me. I'm Dr. Bryce Hanson. I'm a guy. And across from me sits another guy. David.
It's gonna be a good day.
Yeah. We're back, baby.
Wow, I feel a lot better. I feel like my soul has been exercised from that sneeze. Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't burp. That was you. I'm David Doy. Boy, I am excited for today's episode.
Yeah. New theatrical release. We got a great show today. We're going to be talking about not the A24 theatrical release of the week. We're going to talk about the much more buzzed, straight to streaming Prey.
Anybody who's been listening for a hot minute knows that I'm a huge Predator fan. I mean, maybe the biggest.
I would say fan is not the term I would use. I would use nerd. Like, you're a huge Predator nerd because you've read the comics.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, every time Predator comes up, you're like, well, the backstory of it. And you outline all these backstory elements that don't exist in any of the films.
Okay.
It's like when
All
you
right.
talk to a Star Wars nerd and they're only talking about Clone Wars and video games.
Actually, the thing about Predator is, yeah, no.
In episode 8.24, the ribs on Scratchy was played. The same rib was played twice with two distinct tones. I mean, I hope someone got fired for this.
I have a question for you, sir. Why is it that someone with a shirt that says genius at work so busy watching a children's TV show?
I retract my question.
Yeah, no, as a huge Predator fan, this is the day of reckoning. This is the best entry in the franchise, barring maybe the first.
Mm-hmm.
This is amazing.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. It's definitely a good movie. We're gonna, not bury the lead on this one. You should definitely go watch it. If you don't have Hulu, it's worth buying Hulu. Before we get into it, just want to plug our website, horrormovietalk.com, and there you'll find all the links to all the things. We want to thank our new patrons.
I'll get at it here in a minute.
Which are had a big incoming of new patrons. Want to thank Willow H, my absolute favorite patron name, Schlonkler Glonker. Schlonkler Glonker.
There you go. You did it.
I texted that like at least 5 times to David.
Yeah.
Hey, like, David, hey.
What?
Schlonkler Glonker.
Oh, okay.
Amy D, Zachary H, Jim W, and Susan K.
That's right. And Jaron H. And
Jaron
Al. And Dylan P. And Amy.
Yeah. So thanks to our new patrons. We post new episodes of our podcast every Wednesday, and we have not missed one in 4 years.
Yeah, I think this is our 4-year anniversary.
Yeah, this is our 4-year anniversary.
Oh, shit.
I didn't even get you anything. Actually, I think last episode was our 4-year anniversary, if I'm right.
Human Centipede 2. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Human Centipede 2 was our 4-year anniversary episode because we started on July 28th, 2018, I think.
Well, happy anniversary. It's
Happy
like all anniversaries that you and I go through, forgotten.
Right. If you want to call and leave us a voicemail and congratulate us on 4 happy years,
ups and downs.
call 682-253-4468. How each episode works, if you're new to the show, is we start out by giving a brief review and our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10, and then we get into spoilers after that. So if you want to just hear the review and kind of get an idea of what the movie's about before it being spoiled, you can hop out at the spoiler section and return after you watch it. Later on, we'll be doing our bit we call Horror Movie Whores, where we answer our voicemail. And, yeah, that's what we'll be doing.
Easy now.
Like I said, we watched Prey, and it answered our prayers for a good Predator movie.
Yeah, it sure did.
Here's the trailer.
Why do you want to hunt? Because you all think that I can't. I saw a sign in the sky. I'm ready. Maui Nita. There's something out there. I'm coming with you.
You can't.
I'm trying to protect you.
Protect me from what? It's time.
It knows how to hunt. I know how to survive. Whatever did this, I can kill it.
Predator clicking.
Dude, the bear scene in this movie,
Yeah.
oh, it's so good. Never has there been a better bear scene before or since. Maybe
The Revenant?
The
I'm assuming?
Revenant. Yeah, maybe The Revenant. But this whole movie had Revenant vibes. I was like, God damn, they just took a big page out of The Revenant. For the whole movie, just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful shots and filmography and backdrops and just gorgeous. So pretty.
Yeah, so Prey can be found on Hulu. Prey is set in 1719 in the Comanche Nation. Our protagonist, Naru, is a young woman that wants to prove herself as a capable hunter by going through Kutamia, a coming-of-age hunt between a Comanche and an animal predator. As she struggles to prove herself, she discovers through her tracking skills that mountain lions and bears, oh my, aren't the only game in the land. An alien predator has been dropped off to complete a similar hunt and inevitably clashes with Naru and her little dog, too. Prey is the 5th in the franchise of standalone Predator movies, 7th if you include the Alien vs. Predator movies, but let's not talk about those. So it's taken 3 movies and 35 years to get back to the basic premise of a primarily mano-a-mano fight between an outmatched human protagonist and the Predator in the wilderness. It's almost like someone identified what worked in the original movie and used that information to make a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I was so shocked last night. We sat down to watch this, and Carrie was like, she's like, Predator, huh? What's this all about? And I was like, what? You've never seen Predator? She goes, no, I've seen it. It's about that girl alien who wants to have sex with everybody. I was like, I immediately did all the math in my head. I was like, oh, you're talking about Species. This whole time you've thought I've been a fanboy of Species. And she's like, is that not what it is? I was like, oh, you're thinking Sexual Predator. And she's like, yeah. I was like, no. No. And so now she's like, this is fucking badass. I was like, yeah, I know. This is way better than that Sexual Predator movie.
Yeah, I wonder if that was the working title for Species. Sexual Predator.
Sex Predator.
They should do a similar thing with Species and have like a gender bent Species movie.
Here's the thing. Predator is, low-key the king because it loops. It's capable of looping other IPs into it very easily.
Yeah.
And it does so with Alien.
Oh, dude!
What if you just loop Species in there?
Yeah. What if we did
Species
Predator
v Predator?
Yeah, Species v Predator, and just have the Predator and Species just go at each other and just fucking just a straight up
a fuck
porn
fest.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just turns into a porn thing. Oh man, my computer died today. The computer that's done all my drops is dead today. Rip in peace, Lenovo ThinkPad from 2008.
Well, you bought that used.
Yeah.
In 2008, right?
Yeah, and I've been Frankensteining it back alive all these years. The screen's gone now. There's no use.
So if you hooked it up to a monitor, do you think it would still work?
Yeah, no, it's got VGA out, so I'm not doing that.
Well, where there's a will, there's a way. So, although it's very similar in plot to the original, this isn't a direct remake. Writers Patrick Asen and Dan Trachtenberg, who also is the director, made some very interesting changes in the setup that further accentuate what works in the original. Instead of a roided-up Arnold, we get a diminutive yet ferocious Naru. Instead of a modern setting with giant guns and explosives, Naru only has use of primitive weapons. Everything works with this film. Mostly it comes down to the writers and director keeping it simple. They use the tried-and-true hero's journey template and add enough set-piece action sequences at the right times in the story to maintain interest. The story never strays far from the perspective of the protagonist, so it feels intimate and gives the audience one person to really root for. The writing, directing, and acting is all great. There's very little to distract from enjoying the film. If you're a fan of the original Predator, you're really going to enjoy this film, but not feel pandered to.
I'm so glad they gave this to Dan Trachtenberg. He is the director of one of the best horror movies ever made, 10 Cloverfield Lane. Very capable, and it shows in this. A dude who's able to take an IP and go, how do we hit this from a different angle? That's what he did in 10 Cloverfield Lane, and he did it in Prey. Ironically, he hit it from the same angle, but made it better.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, you're gonna hear this a lot. This movie feels like sci-fi Revenant. It really, really, really does. And by the way, the cast is all First Nations. And Aubrey Plaza did a great job. This girl is the spitting image of Aubrey Plaza, but with an even better name. Amber Mid-Thunder.
Yeah.
Fucking Mid-Thunder. And then her brother, Tabe, Dakota Beavers.
Mm-hmm.
That's his name.
Mm-hmm.
I maybe a stage name. I don't know. Dakota Beavers, though? Damn. Stormy Kip, like, what a bunch of fucking awesome names. Michelle Thrush. Like, these are badass names.
Yeah.
I love every part of it.
Yeah, it's a shot with a Native American cast, First Nations cast, Comanche Nation cast.
Thank you.
And actually, they supposedly shot at the same time in Comanche language version at the same time. So there's supposedly this version is the English language version, but they also shot it where all the dialogue's Comanche.
No fucking way. They shot 2 movies?
Mm-hmm. And I think the bolder move would have been to show it in Comanche.
Yeah.
I think that would have been, it would have been, like a apocalyptica.
Right.
Mel Brooks movie.
Uh-huh. Not Mel Brooks, Mel Gibson.
Oh, yeah. And that one just did so well. I can't see why they wouldn't want to do it.
Right.
But yeah, I'm pretty curious to see the alternate version. I don't know if they're going to release it or what, but I've heard that they shot it. But yeah, it really works. I don't have anything. I mean, the only thing that like was a little like okay was the tying the rope to the tomahawk and then having the tomahawk like not obey the laws of physics. But I'm like, you know what?
Yeah,
it's cool.
It's so cool. And that's all a Predator movie is supposed to be. That's all it's supposed to be. Is just cool. It's just go, oh damn. There's so much of that. There's so much of that, like that feeling where when you first saw Predator, and you were just like, what is all this technology? You're like, oh my God, that's so cool. He's invisible. That's so cool. He has a cannon mounted to his shoulder that tracks where his head looks. That's so cool. He's got lasers that come out. And then he can fight. He's got a claw that comes off his arm. It's so cool. There is so much cool shit in this movie that makes you go, oh, the Predator is cool again. Like, Predator. Okay, so yeah, you mentioned. I'm gonna bloviate a little bit here. You got in the series of movies that feature predators for the most part. Here we go. We got Predator with Arnold. We got Predator 2 with
Danny
Glover and Gary Busey. You got AVP and AVP Requiem, which may be the actual worst movie ever made. And that's not like that's including like bad movies. Then you have Predators with Adrian Brody. Adrian Brody.
I
think that's in 2010. And then you have The Predator, which is 2018. We reviewed that. That's like the 15th movie we ever reviewed. And now you have Prey. And this is maybe the best one. Mm-hmm. It's up there. It's definitely up there. I mean, the shots.
You could set it right next to Arnold's Predator and not have. I mean, essentially, it's the same movie in terms of like the setup.
It's even more simple.
It's even more simple, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty rough. Like this one, it would seem like blasphemy, but I could say like. This one works a little better. There's less distraction because
it's a different kind of thing. And I mean, you don't have Jesse Ventura, you don't have a Gatling gun, you don't have a lot of. I mean, the first one is the first one, and it's pretty good. Like it's not like it's a bad first one.
The one thing you can say about this one is it's much more timeless than Predator.
True,
because like Predator is. Just has concrete shoes in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like it is not going anywhere out of the zeitgeist other than like being an epitome 90s roided up action hero movie.
Yeah.
Like it
Get to the
fits
chopper.
in that space.
Yeah, get to
and
the chopper.
this you could come back to this in 3 decades and be like, I don't know when they made that.
Yeah, but that's not. I wouldn't say that that's a detractor. Like, I mean, they're.
Sure, I mean it's a distraction though. I mean, I'm saying that distraction isn't in this movie. You know,
Sure. The one thing I will say is this movie is super simple, and that's a benefit and a detractor because it's like it doesn't. You know exactly what this movie is from the start.
Yeah,
it's not gonna wow you in terms of like twists and turns in the storyline.
Yeah,
at all. It's very simple, but you know, keep it simple, stupid. And you'll have something good. You know, I mean, shit. You make a delicious loaf of bread. It's simple, but who doesn't fucking love a nice slice of bread with some butter on it? It's simple. It works. You know, like
I've had fresh baked bread before. Who cares? Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. This is just like all the other warm bread that I've ever had.
Oh, you mean heavenly? Yeah, no, what are you giving this?
Yeah, I mean, I was like thinking 8 out of 10, but then I was like, there's nothing wrong with this movie. I can't find anything that'd be like, oh, it's great except for this thing. Like, it's perfect. I can't see any reason not to give it a 10 out of 10. Like,
yeah,
it's
pretty great,
successful in what it is that I can't be like, it could have been this, they should have done this. I can't identify one thing that I would say they should have done better. Like, it's great. I think everyone should see it.
Yeah, I think everyone should see it. I'm struggling between a 9 and a 10. It's definitely a 9 for sure. It's at the very least a 9.
Right.
This is just a blast of a action movie. Yeah. I mean, it's really, really a very fun movie. It's got some real horrendous and horror elements in it. And the pacing is perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
And there are so many moments in this which are the moments you look for in a Predator movie where you just go, whoa, that's so cool. Like big fountains of blood, but not shown right up close. Like those big wide panoramic shots where he's tracking them down in the field. And then he gets one of them and blood just goes boom, shoots out of this field for like 15 or 20 feet. I was like, oh, damn. Like my nipples are so hard right now. Oh, like this is a cool fucking movie. So yeah, I'm so glad you chose this one instead of Bodies.
Yeah. We'll cover Bodies, but yeah, it seemed like
it's not going to get as much play as
this is
Prey.
definitely like the exception to the rule of like prioritizing theatrical releases. And even it's an A24 movie and it seems like it would be right in our wheelhouse to cover Bodies. But
well, it is. It's just more people are going to be talking about
so
Prey.
many people were talking about Prey in the last week or two on our Facebook group compared to 0 people mentioning Bodies.
Yeah, it's an obvious choice. So. We will admit.
Yeah. Speaking about an obvious choice, you should obviously join our Patreon. There you'll find access to our after pods where we leave the mics running and we talk about our lives and stuff. It gets pretty intense on the after pods. We got a review the other day. It was like, it was great. Now they just start bickering all the time. I'm like, oh no. It's just starting to leak out of the after pods.
Would you rather us agree on on all the points. Oh, that's not fun. People don't like that. The Big Brother is not about a bunch of people learning to get along.
No, I think like there's been a couple moments where like we've pushed each other's buttons, I think, within the last several months. I was like, all right, gotta reel it in a little bit. It's been high stress over here at Horror Movie Talk.
Oh, yeah,
a lot of changes and stuff.
You don't know what's going on in our personal lives. But
unless you listen to the Afterpod in our Patreon. Also on Patreon, you get access to patron-exclusive content. Got several different tiers that offer enticing offers for fans of the show. So go to patreon.com/horrormovietalk and check out that and support us directly. Another way you can support us directly is going to the Horror Movie Talk shop on horrormovietalk.com/shop. We're selling our t-shirt, our logo tee, and stickers, and probably pretty soon another tee designed by Dustin.
Pretty excited about this new 2 t-shirts that feature the Bat versus Spear debate.
Yeah.
But not only that.
So we got a Team Spear shirt and a Team Bat shirt that's under design right now.
That's right. And I also pitched to him, hey, you might consider sinkholes versus earthquakes.
Yeah.
Team sinkhole, team earthquake.
Right.
Yeah. And carefully consider which team you want to be on. Earthquake and bat.
Yeah.
So
we need to find another debate. Got to find another debate that we can talk ad nauseum about on the podcast. Those two are getting a little sweaty.
Anal or vaginal?
But it still works so well. Mm-hmm. I'm strictly in the nasal cavity.
Ew.
No. Maybe we could debate whether horses are terrifying or not.
They obviously, I don't know. Is that a debate? Who would take the side of no?
Oh yeah. Also, a thing to mention about the Patreon that I didn't mention. If you just listen to some commercials, what we're talking right now, you can just skip all that by becoming a patron at a certain tier and get early access to episodes as well. We love Dustin. Like we said, he's designing stuff constantly for us, and his artwork will stand the test of time. So if you want to commission him, go to Instagram and slide into his DMs at dgoebel00. That's at DGOEBEL00, and make your artistic dreams come true. If you want to leave us a voicemail, call 682-253-4468. Thanks again for listening. Let's get into spoilers. Spoilers. All right.
Oh man, this movie came at just the right time. I was stressed out. I was despondent. I had a hard day yesterday. It was just
what score did you land on? I don't remember if we landed on a score for you.
It's tough. It's somewhere between a 9 and a 10. I don't feel like it's quite Schindler's List. I do feel like it's pretty close to The Revenant. And I love The Revenant. Like, I love a lot of this movie.
I'm going to insist you land on 9 or 10. You got to say. Commit. Sorry.
I don't know. What good are any of these numbers anyway? That's all just funny money. Who gives a shit? I give it a 10.
Yay!
Yeah, no, this is... I'm so glad. I'm so glad so many things about this movie. Like, number one, I'm so glad the Predator franchise is respectable again. Like, so The Predator in 2018 was a pretty good movie. Mm-hmm. It was a fun, funny movie. Shane Black came back. Mm-hmm. He was in the first one, and he made, this one, that The Predator was pretty fun, but it was kind of all over the place.
It's a pretty throwaway movie in retrospect.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I did too.
But it's also another one of these. See, here's the thing. Why did it take 35 years to get back to what worked with the first one, which was one person versus the Predator? Every Predator movie since was either like a couple of guys or an elite fighting force.
I'm going to push back a little bit. This is what people look. People discount Predator 2. It is a good movie. Like, I mean, it's in terms of being a Predator movie, I think it if not counting Prey, I think Predator 2 is probably the strongest entry. And for a lot of reasons, like it's legendary for introducing the xenomorph skull at the end. Danny Glover is, at his peak of being an action star, he's right in there with the Lethal Weapon movies. It's whatever it is, 1992. And it's very disturbing. It's got a lot of really fucking rough imagery, and it follows along with the comics really well. Like Predator is meant to, he's in a lot of varied settings. It's not just the jungle. It doesn't have to just be the jungle. He heads to all the planets equally. He wants to kill fairly across the spectrum.
Okay.
Anyway, so Predator 2, I don't feel like strayed too far, but yeah, there's been a long time since a decent. I didn't mind Predators, the Adrian Brody one. It was pretty good. It was definitely fun. It wasn't as well done as this. Probably sits around a 6 or a 7 for me.
Yeah,
but other than that, the Predator and Predators from 2010 and 2018, they're pretty good.
Yeah,
they're not bad. But man, it's going to take a lot to recover from the AVP movies. Like, they are hot garbage. And Requiem is legitimately maybe the worst movie ever filmed. It's so dark, you can't see what's happening.
I think I've seen both, and I still can't remember the one that I hate more.
Oh, it's definitely the second one.
The one that's in the Antarctic. Which one's that one?
That's the first one.
Yeah, that one's so bad.
It's bad.
Maybe
yeah.
I didn't see AVP Revenant.
Requiem.
But that first one was like one of those movies where like you roll your eyes because you're like, I see what they're doing. It's like
they're in bodysuits.
You gotta. It's aliens versus predators, but you gotta pick out the one alien. Nethead. Yeah. Anyways, it's very dumb. And I think, again, sure, like alien or predator can be in different scenarios and all this stuff, but like, why did this works? The formula works so well of like in the wilderness, 1 versus 1.
But like, it's not 1 versus 1. At the end it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. The formula is similar. Like I said, I think my logic stands with Predator 2. And actually with Predators, with Adrian Brody, that's the same formula.
I thought that Predators was like another one where it was like an elite fighting force of many different...
Yeah, you mean like the first one? You mean like this one? Like Prey? Yeah, it's an elite fighting force of people... A bunch of people that ends up being whittled down to one person who is then 1v1ing the Predator. Yes.
Yeah, the difference is this one focuses exclusively on the protagonist as like the point of view character throughout the whole movie. And the first one focused exclusively on Arnold's character as the protagonist, whereas the other ones are like, it's a team. Like the
2 is the same thing is the same formula you're talking about, and Predators is the same thing that you're talking about. You're looking at it through Adrian Brody's.
Okay, I guess I'm just talking out of my ass then.
A little bit.
So why was this not released widely in theaters? Is my question.
It's a good question.
It seems like such a no-brainer to me.
Yeah,
It seems very cynical that it wasn't. Like, that they're just like, I don't know if people go out to theater for a no star power with, like, a female protagonist.
Well...
Like, it's like...
I can't tell you exactly the reason why, but I can tell you that Disney owns Hulu, and Disney has been doing this very thing with its Pixar movies for years now, I assume, and I don't think Disney is stupid. I think Disney is very, 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 very calculated and good at making money. And they go, where will this benefit us financially? We've been releasing Pixar movies, arguably some of the best movies made in existence, exclusively on our Disney Plus to get subscribers, to get that month over month money coming in. Now let's start boosting Hulu, like I imagine.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just, it doesn't seem fair to the filmmakers to me. Like, especially the Pixar ones hurt because it's like,
yeah,
those are such great movies. Oof. Like, and the ones that have come out exclusively on Disney Plus are as good or better than any Pixar movie that's been put out.
Yeah.
And they put out like, what did they put out in theaters that was like, okay, why that one and not this one?
Encanto?
Yeah, they put out Encanto, which is great.
Yeah, it's great.
But why wouldn't you put out Turning Red or
Soul?
Fucking
Soul is one of the best movies ever made. Like,
and the thing I hate about straight to streaming is it just gets lost in the fray. Like, you either put it out in theaters where it's competing against at most 7 other theatrical releases at any given time, or you release it on streaming where it's competing for your eyes with like 1,000 other movies. Like,
I mean, yes,
it's so much harder to like. Yeah, I mean they push these kinds of movies pretty hard, but honestly, like going on Hulu, I expected it to be the first thing I saw. I had to scroll down and find it.
Yeah, Hulu does have, well, and now we're getting into the weeds a bit. Like, in terms of streaming services and presentation and then functionality, Hulu is not the best. Hulu needs some work. I mean, Paramount Plus has some great presentationality because they copied Netflix.
Right.
It's like, just copy Netflix. And,
HBO Max is pretty good, too.
HBO Max is pretty good, although a couple different versions of the app is pretty pretty clunky.
But here's the thing. Like, I feel, putting my marketing brain on, that they're selling themselves short in the long run because, sure, you can entice more people to subscribe to Hulu in the next 3 months, like, as the buzz goes. But it's going to be, like, people are going to forget about it in a little while. Like, you don't remember straight to streaming movies as much as you do things that are theatrical releases, in my opinion. So it's like, when you commit to a theatrical release and do like a wide marketing campaign, like, what you're doing is investing in the brand of that franchise. Like, that's why, franchises do so well in the theater where like independent movies don't, is because the money's behind it and the people have that brand association in their head and are going to keep going out to them because they associate it with a certain level of quality. So like, you've got this IP, this Predator IP, and you're selling it short by not committing to it.
Okay. No, that's a good point. But I think this actually may be the exception that proves the rule, because the Predator IP is so strong. It's like the Alien IP, I mean, it's not quite the Alien IP, but it's pretty fucking solid. I mean, this is cemented in the zeitgeist. This is pop culture of our time, like hardcore IP, that this franchise is rock solid. If you were to do this with a less solid franchise, like, I don't know, Annabelle, if you were to do a straight to streaming version of I think it would get lost in the weeds and forgotten pretty quickly, just because it's like, who really cares about the next Annabelle, really? But you get a Predator movie and that's pretty solid shit. Like, that's, in terms of sci-fi, that's top tier.
Yeah, but I mean, So I'll use the example of Paranormal Activity. The last one that they released was Next of Kin. That was straight to streaming.
Yeah, I think that
when you talk
I think that proves it.
When you
that's
talk
a pretty
about,
weak franchise now.
Well, yeah, because they're not committing to it anymore. It's like you're going to think of the Paranormal Activity movies, and you're not. Next of Kin is going to be so forgettable, even though like some of the ones that you're going to name are also forgettable.
That franchise had been dead for 3 movies, though. You know, it wasn't the same.
Yeah,
it
but
was garbage.
You're still going to name marked ones. You're still going to name, Ghost Dimension when you remember Paranormal Activity, which they're not great movies, but Next of Kin is going to be forgotten. And so, I get it that the franchise is strong or the IP is strong, but that's what I'm saying. If you don't invest in it, people are going to forget it.
It's probably I mean, you may be right, but also it's like a crack a few eggs kind of thing. Disney in the long run probably doesn't give too much of a shit about whether or not Predator is a successful franchise in 10 years, they're like, and by the way, they did this so right. This is really well done. This is an amazing movie. So,
yeah. So, anyways, that's enough about that. So we open the movie and we see Naru. She's hunting. She's got a tomahawk and a dog. The goodest of boys.
Oh yeah, he's a good boy.
And she's just throwing that tomahawk. She's an expert marksman. And I'm not sure if you can really hunt with a tomahawk.
I don't know. But I mean, this is gonna get old real fast. This is so cool. It's so cool, dude. Oh man, she's this badass girl. She's the whole time I'm I keep on looking her up. I'm like, is this Aubrey Plaza? Is this Aubrey Plaza? Am I in love with her?
Is this time Aubrey Plaza?
Yeah. Am I in love with her? And they pick Comanches, which are the most insanely warrior driven tribe in America. They're very, very proficient with bow and arrow and and horseback and all the coolest shit. She's got a tomahawk. She's hunting fucking rabbits and shit with a tomahawk. It's just cool.
I mean, yeah, even when they announced this movie, just the premise is that's a pretty great premise.
The title is Prey, and it's in the font of Predator, and you're like, oh, it taps into 8-year-old me being like, I know what that is, I know what that is.
So they're out hunting. She's not super successful in landing the deer, and her dog gets caught in a trap. The trap is kind of set up as a thing for later in the movie. Yeah. Which, there's trappers.
Yeah. The French trappers are in the area.
And then she hears thundering sounds, looks up, and there's kind of weirdness in the sky.
Yeah.
And so it's very ominous.
Got me thinking about so many cool ideas. So while we were watching this part specifically, I was saying to Carrie, can you imagine living in a time when there wasn't just ambient noise of airplanes and cars? There just wasn't. It was just fucking quiet.
Well, no, it was deafening sounds of nature all the time, probably.
Yeah, sure. Your hearing was probably a lot better because you were keyed into the small thing, because your hearing matches the surroundings, right? So, yeah, but the idea of suddenly hearing something flying through the sky and being what the fuck is that? That's a cool idea, being oh, you're not just constantly bombarded with jet and airplane and helicopter noises. This is a unique thing that you're what the fuck is that?
Yeah. And then she goes back to the village, and we're kind of set up kind of the dilemma with the protagonist, which is she wants to prove herself. It's the whole movie is basically a coming of age story for her, and specifically part of this coming of age tale is this kutamiya, which is explained as hunting something that hunts you. It's the big hunt that's basically like Comanche bar mitzvah. Like, you're a man now. You can hunt things that hunt you.
Bat mitzvah.
Yeah, bat mitzvah.
Yeah.
For Naru.
Yeah.
Naru? Is that right? I already forgot the name. And she set up as like, it makes the proper amount of deal that she's a woman, which I appreciate. It's not like, I am a strong female character. It's like you get the real sense that this is an individual with their own motives and drives that's not associated with going against the grain and fighting the patriarchy, I really don't want to make a big deal of like that, the wokeness like arguments about this movie, because that's so tired.
It is tired, man.
And like, it's so dumb. You see like the criticisms of this movie before anyone sees it, and you're like, okay, you obviously haven't seen it. Like, this is obviously set up that can work. Like, it's not pandering, So anyways, like it's like she feels like a real person in this movie.
Yeah.
That just has her own interests and drives, and she wants to prove herself that she doesn't have to fit into this box that the tribe is putting her in, which is mostly, doing what she's also very good at, which is like the healing arts, and tracking, even like extending into that. But
sorry,
maybe turn on the phone. So she's wanting to prove herself, and her brother and the other warriors are like, you don't, maybe stay back and, pick some leaves and stuff. Do what you're good at. But she's insistent, and for the majority of the movie, she's not very successful at proving herself. And it like, to the people that she wants to prove herself to,
Right.
She's obviously capable, but she also has some shortcomings. It's very, very clear template of like the hero's journey of like wanting to set out on this path, having a clear goal in mind, but also having several setbacks throughout, and people trying to keep you back, and then overcoming the thing that's causing you hesitation.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they do a good job of, although they I was a little annoyed that the male characters continued to harp on her throughout the movie, but on the other hand, it kind of makes sense given the context of the whole thing. There was a lot going on and a lot of bad shit happening.
Right.
And everybody was bossing each other around. And this is kind of what young people do when they're trying to, determine, the pecking order of things. There's a lot of this just like bickering back and forth between, those who are trying to prove themselves to each other and to themselves. And so,
well, yeah. And most of it's like the dynamic of people that have proven themselves versus the person trying to prove themselves. And like all these other warriors have gone through this process, and it's like by default, and they've proved themselves as warriors or whatever. And then there's just this girl's like, hey, what about me? And it's like, we're trying to like actually save someone right now. Maybe what you want isn't too important right now.
Yeah.
And then her brother makes the case that she's a good tracker and healer. So like she's valuable, which is good. But I mean, there are reasons for the doubt of like her brother, for example, because, she's on this hunt and it's set up to be like, okay, here's your Kutamiya. You get to hunt this mountain lion, and you can hunt the thing that's going to hunt you. And she hesitates.
Yeah.
And doesn't completely fail, but fails enough to be like, you're not quite ready, and to the point where her brother can say, no, you can't do it. Like, you fell out of the tree. Like, it's not that you can't come because society says no. It's like, literally, I think that you
Can't do it.
Can't do it.
You can't do it because you just proved you can't do it.
Yeah, you're not strong enough. You don't have the will to do it, and I'm trying to protect you. And that lands as genuine. It doesn't feel like, oh, no, hon. You know?
Yeah.
It feels like an actual, like, reality of, like, no, this is...
I'm concerned for your safety.
Yeah, this is a way of life, and not everyone can do this thing. And so maybe you can't. So that works all real well.
Let me just say, I got two big things here. The casting in this is fucking dreamy.
Yeah.
Okay? Creamy dreamy. Mm-hmm. All right? Like, Amber Midthunder is a good-looking gal. Mm-hmm. And Dakota Beavers is a good-looking guy. And everybody in this movie is not just good-looking, but has chops. Mm-hmm. They can all act, and they all give really great performances, especially considering how flat this could have fallen.
Right.
This movie could have fallen so flat in terms of delivery and acting and all that stuff. So, like, bravo. Also want to get in there. Chief Kehetu was played by Julian Black Antelope. Was played by Julian Black Antelope. What cool names.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's all... They made a point of casting, First Nations actors, and benefit is, like, you don't need stage names for any of those people. They got kick-ass names as is.
Dude, awesome fucking names. Yeah. And then also, the cinematography in this is amazing. The panoramic shots, the drone shots from above, all the locations, like, oh my God, it's like watching The Revenant in summer. It's so pretty. So, like, half of this movie is just sitting there being like, damn, this is a beautiful, and a lot of it's Montana. Mm-hmm. So it's just gorgeous. Wyoming. Yeah.
We're shown a couple times the predator hunting before he even, like, starts targeting humans. We see him hunting a wolf and then the bear. We'll get to the bear sequence, which is probably the best sequence in the movie. But it also kind of establishes the rules, which, for me, a not huge predator nerd, like, it communicates it real well, which is he will escalate the technology he uses to be fair against the prey.
Right.
So he's going to go up against a grizzly bear, with claws and his strength, and not like a gun.
That's really interesting that's exactly what it is.
Right.
I'm impressed that it was delivered in such a way that it made that very clear just right out the gate for
right, because he obviously has superior technology, even though this predator is pretty pared down versus, like, the original predator, which kind of makes sense because it still is 300 years before.
Yeah.
But you don't see him breaking out, like, the arrows until the Comanches start shooting arrows at him.
Yeah.
You don't see him start using, like, advanced weaponry until, some guns are brought out. And even then, it's still pretty, like, he's definitely got a warrior code,
Oh, yeah. This is one of the biggest, this is the Predator, right?
Right.
Which is like, I'm here to hunt.
Right.
And part of hunting isn't just, you could hunt with nuclear bombs if you wanted to. You could just destroy planets if you wanted to, but that takes all the fun out of it if there's not some sportsmanship to it. And so predators are always very, very sporting. That's the whole point.
They're hunt bros.
Yeah.
I think part of the apocrypha of the predator species should be that it's actually the evolutionary result of Joe Rogan. Just eventually Joe Rogan evolves into the Predators, and then they come back in time.
Yeah. I wish we had Fart here so we could get some nice Joe drops.
The Predator in this one is a little different. Like, I saw in some of the notes and some of the stuff about the movie that this is the feral Predator, which I don't know if that's mentioned in comics or anything, but it's specifically made to be a little bit different. That it's like the physique and the technology is a little different compared to what.
There's a lot of different tribes. Yeah, they're always pulling out new and different tribes that are interesting and unique in their own ways. Yeah, this dude, his fucking helmet's so cool too. Like, god damn.
Yeah, the helmet is like the skull of another predator.
Oh, it's so cool.
So let's talk about the bear scene, which is probably the most effective scene in the movie, where
it starts out with her and her dog,
yeah,
and she hears something down in the ravine, and they go and check it out.
And this is after her failed mountain lion hunt.
Right.
And she's like, finally, I can prove myself by hunting a bear with a fucking arrow.
Not
like,
just a bear, a grizzly.
A grizzly bear with a singular arrow. I'm like, yeah, maybe she's not ready, because she's very dumb thinking that she can take down a grizzly with one arrow.
Oh, dude. Like, I was telling Carrie, like, I was like, because, you know, I spend a lot of time in the woods. I really like being outdoors and camping and all that stuff. And I've spent thousands and thousands and thousands of hours doing so. And I'm not scared of bears here where we are, because they're not scary. They're like big raccoons. They're black. They're black bears. They're not familiar with people. So, like, you know, in black bears in Northern California are scary. Mm-hmm. Because they're used to people, and they have no problem coming up to you and being like, where's your food? Mm-hmm. But black bears here are not that. They're terrified of you. They just want to get away from you all the time. Anyway, so grizzly bears, though, are uniquely maybe the most terrifying animals on the planet. Like, them and polar bears are horrendously scary. And Revenant gets in. That's one of the reasons I love Revenant, is because it really highlights what it is. She's like, oh man, I think a mountain lion's scarier. I'm like, I mean, sure, a mountain lion's scary, but at least with a mountain lion, you have a decent chance of being dead when it starts to eat you. Like, anytime a mountain lion grabs somebody, or something, it wants to kill it, so it stops struggling, because it's only 100 pounds to 150 pounds. Like, mountain lions aren't large, so they need to kill the things that they want to eat. Grizzly bears are 1,000 to 1,500, maybe 2,000 pounds sometimes. These things are ultra massive. Nothing except a moose or a bison is even nearly as big as a grizzly bear.
Yeah.
And so if you get caught by a grizzly bear, it just steps on you with 500 to 1,000 pounds of force and then starts biting you. Like, it just starts biting you. It doesn't kill you at all.
Or just one swipe of that paw would murder you instantly.
Hopefully. Like, there's going to be... The problem with being attacked by a grizzly bear is it's going to be long and torturous. You're going to be gutted before you're dead. Mm-hmm. It's horrible.
Yeah, grizzly bear is probably the most otherworldly predator on the planet. Like, in terms of, like...
Polar bears are pretty up there, too. I mean...
Well, I mean, they're basically the same bear.
Same kind of thing.
But, I mean, you think about, like lions or tigers, like, or, you know, some of the more, you know, big game predators, you're like, yeah, that's right. And they're frightening in their own way. But grizzly bear is just a giant.
Yeah.
Like a giant mass of muscle that's just pure strength. And also fucking fast, like otherworldly fast. Like, you can look at a lion or a jaguar or a tiger, and you're like, yeah, of course that's gonna pounce on you and chase after you. Like that's obvious. There's something about seeing, like, basically a tractor coming at you at 200 miles per hour. Like, holy shit, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That shouldn't be possible.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, a grizzly bear can run, 40 miles an hour or something like that?
Yeah.
And it's not silent about it. It's like,
Yeah, there's only a couple animals that would inspire that kind of fear in me. Like, I mean, I imagine hippos are basically grizzly bear Africa style. You know? Like, it's like, oh, here's a giant mouth that can run 35 miles.
yeah.
Yeah. So
And they're hungry.
Oh yeah, hungry hippos. She is fearless, this girl, because
She's like, I got this.
she fires one arrow at this thing and it's like, fuck you. And the sequence of events following this is so cool. She dives under the water to get
Well, first, it's like, we'll set the stage. So she's up on like a ridge and she's firing down into like a stream. So it's like a pretty safe spot, but immediately once the grizzly clocks her, it's like, oh, I'm right behind you right now.
Right.
It's like, oh, fuck. And so she like tumbles off the ridge, and then I think she might did she get another arrow off or something?
No. So first what happens is her string breaks or comes off the bow because it got wet somehow or something.
Yeah, it was like when she was in the swamp and the the quicksand.
The quicksand. There was a quicksand sequence in this, and Carrie was like, "Remember quicksand?" I was like, "Yeah." And she gets all muddied up like Arnold.
Yeah,
you know. And I was like, "Oh, that's a callback." And so yeah, her bow string.
What if in the quicksand sequence she loses the dog?
And
it would have been like the Never-Ending Story.
I was also thinking this is just like the Never-Ending Story.
No.
So as she's being chased by this grizzly bear, she dives under the water and comes up in a beaver dam. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, this is the perfect setup. And this thing's like, fuck you, and trying to get into the beaver dam.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh God, this is so cool. And right then the predator fucking starts fighting with this thing.
Yeah.
Hand-to-hand combat, like...
And it all makes sense because it set it up with the wolf sequence where the predator was looking at the wolf as the wolf was chasing down a bunny. So it's like that was part of its hunting strategy, is getting it mid-hunt.
Right.
And that's like basically the same thing with the grizzly, where it was probably stalking it and watching it. And then once it started going towards Naru, it was like, well, now it's my chance.
Yeah, but also there's an added element to this of, I'm not going to attack the prey.
Right.
I'm going to attack the aggressor.
Right.
Like, this thing poses a threat. That thing doesn't pose a threat.
Right.
So.
And yeah, the sequence with the predator killing the bear is so awesome.
Oh.
Like, holds the entire grizzly aloft and lets it just bleed over
as
him.
he's in his invisibility suit, he fucking picks the bear up over his head and like wrings all the blood out of it so that the blood comes down over the invisibility suit and coats him in blood. I was just like, oh, this is the cool. Oh, so cool. Oh, and then I passed out from coolness overload.
From coming.
I was just like, damn, this was the coolest thing I've seen in years.
Yeah. And it all just like, because the bear attacking the beaver dam with Naru inside of it was so frightening and so effective that when you see the predator easily kill it, you're like, oh shit.
Well, not easily. I mean, they do have it out for a while.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. Like, it was like, no. What? No. Yeah.
Yeah,
great.
I gotta say, the predator in this movie, like, does not get away unscathed. Like, it seems like it's getting cut pretty bad on the regular.
Yeah.
But doesn't show any sign of being affected by it at all.
Well, he has to do his med kit thing every now and then. You know, he's got to.
Yeah, it showed that once.
Yeah.
But even when he eventually cuts his own arm off, it's like, nah, shake it off.
Naru did that, I think. She cut his arm off with his spear, right?
If you watch it again, it's more like he gets his arm stuck in the tree, and then she goes to stab him, and he uses his shield to like block the shot, but in essence, his shield cuts off his own arm, which is great because there's a beat, and the Predator just looks at his arm and is like, "Fuck,
damn it,
oopsie doopsie,
oopsie poopsie." Yeah, no, there's a lot of sequences in this that are just like just come in your pants awesome, like for action fans. Like I will never forget this has one of the coolest shots I've ever seen in a movie, which is when it's towards the end. It's after the trappers and one of her friends, one of her confidants, one of her tribe people in her tribe, like they get in the plane, right? They're like out in a field.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, you gotta keep your head down. They're like, and then it's clear the Predator's after him. They're running through the field, and you get this big, wide panning shot, huge panning shot of this field. And you see this dude running, and then it like, you see this faint, invisible thing go and hops onto him, and just blood just goes.
Yeah.
And this is all from afar, and you see this huge splash of blood just cover the field, and you're like, damn. So much cool shit in this. It's fabulous.
Yeah. I said I didn't want to talk about wokeness that much, but I gotta say, like, they do go the obvious route. Like, it's a movie about First Nations, so of course they gotta add the villain of the obvious race that's the villain that slaughters all the buffalo. Like, yeah,
that's what happened.
They gotta bring in, of course, the French.
Right. The French are, they're the worst.
Yeah. So, yeah, I like that they make it like, oh yeah, everyone can hate the French.
Well, the French were trappers, right, and they really were kind of pioneers in North America. You know.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
definitely. Like they were, and they along with the English were looking for the northern
Northwest Passage.
The Northwest Passage for the longest time.
Right.
Like they were like, how do we get fucking through America to get to China and India? Like, how do we do that for the longest amount of time?
I mean, when you study like Washington State history or like any history of the West, like it's always like Lewis and Clark made their way all the way across America. Along the way, they met all the French that were already there.
Right.
But they eventually got there. Like,
right.
It's like, okay. Like, but they mapped it using some of the maps that the French gave them. And eventually, yeah. So, like, all of the history we have is usually surrounding the British or the American explorers. But then it's always like, but all the business that supported those, those like forts and stuff, was like, yeah, it's all French trappers.
Yeah.
They're just infecting the land. Luckily we got rid of them, except for, Quebec.
Yeah.
Like they still have their share.
Yeah, I mean, the French trappers made their way across this country well before anyone else,
right.
And that may not actually be true. Like, there's questions about the Vikings and like, how far they got. But I really do feel like the Vikings had less interest than the French did, because they were doing good business,
Right, yeah.
Like making it. So
there was some, where was it? There was something that showed up in the last week where it talked about kind of a Native American legend of like a giant redheaded race of people. And it was like in the Southwest or something. So it's like Vikings got around.
The Scots.
Which is a pretty interesting thing when it's like they got around to a degree that like history doesn't know, because it was usually probably a small band of Vikings.
Right.
Like, yeah, we're just going to go out and fuck some shit up. Like,
yeah.
That's what we're about, bro.
Yeah, and by the way, we're not concerned with documenting any of this shit. Like, specifically, we would like it if it was forgotten.
Right.
Because we fucking pillage. So.
Yeah, we don't want people to remember that we're around.
No.
Like, that's when they put the guards up.
Yeah, actually, one of the quote unquote woke things that I would really like it if it were tackled is intertribal conflict throughout the Americas.
Oh yeah,
because I mean, we act like things were just great here before anybody got here, and no doubt things were fucking bad when we did get here, but. I mean, there was a lot of conflict throughout the Americas intertribally for a long time. Comanches were very problematic for a lot of different tribes.
Right.
I mean, but they paled in comparison to like the Aztecs, who fucking anybody would sell their they did. They were like, oh fuck it, the Spanish are here. Thank God, like we will do anything if you fuck up those Aztecs for us, because they're constantly stealing us and sacrificing us.
Right.
To like, I think the Aztecs were said to sacrifice like in 1 month 80,000 people.
Yeah.
Like that was their shit. They were just like, this shit.
Yeah,
is awesome.
I mean, I will say like it does put it in an interesting perspective, because I mean you once you have a movie about Native Americans, all of a sudden you compare it to all other tropes in movies containing Native Americans, which are mostly Westerns.
Mm-hmm.
But this does a pretty good job of avoiding like, okay,
yeah,
the same thing we see every time. I feel like almost every movie surrounding Native Americans, it does have an opposing tribe make an appearance at some time. And it does have like the main part of the story is the white settlers coming in and fucking shit up or move. At the very least, the end of the movie will be like, and then they had to move on because look, Whitey showed up, even if it's just like one wagon that shows up over the horizon. You're like, oh
yeah.
Well, that's a bummer.
Well,
this
and
one
it is.
This one's really like, it's set in a time before that's really an issue for them. I mean, the French trappers are there and they're starting to fuck shit up, but it's not a significant part of the storyline. We're never shown the tribe react to it or feel like there's a significant threat or anything. It's mostly just the tribe living their life, and that's it, which is kind of a nice change of pace and respectful that like, it's not, it doesn't always have to be about how the West was won and how the wars fought out in the West. This was just a simple story of this is this group of people versus the Predator.
Yeah. I have a question for you. A big part of this movie for me was, and I'm so glad this was a big part of the movie, was cool weapons. Like, that's the main feature of this movie is like cool shit. What were some of your favorite parts of this movie weapon wise? Like, because I'll go first because I already have some stuff chambered. I loved it because she was fucking around with the tomahawk for a while. She was like, how do I? And then she ties the rope to it, the leash to it.
Yeah.
And then she starts fucking whipping that thing around. And just that sequence was enough for me to be like, damn, that's fucking cool. She treats it like one of those, like what scorpions?
Yeah. Get over here.
Yeah. His little tossy knife. I love that sequence. The Predator has some fucking great shit. Like he's got, he's got the tri-laser, the little 3-dotted laser, and out of that shoots little bolts, little arrow bolts, and that's pretty spectacular. And he can move where he can decide where the lasers don't have to stay in a triangular pattern. They can go vertically or like horizontally to hit 3 different spots. That's pretty great. At one point when he was dealing with the trappers, he escalated to the nth degree, basically the highest level of escalation that you see in this movie.
Yeah, they have, their flintlock rifles, which had one of my favorite scenes. They like they shoot this volley of like, you know, like 7 or 8, you know, rifles firing at him, and the predator's like 10 feet away just looking at him, and then they start reloading and you're like
There's this little moment of like, oh, we got to do this now.
How hilarious like the flintlock rifle would be in a one-on-one battle.
Yeah. And one of my, like, there was a lot of cool weapon, like, so like the 3 little traps, like the little bomb traps that was pretty cool. But I think actually my favorite weapon in this movie was his shield.
Yeah, his shield was pretty great.
Oh, it was so cool. The way he used it was like, it was a knife, it was a shield, it was attached to his arm and could retract and collapse based on like, that was great.
So basically this Predator was basically the Captain America of the Predator race.
Yeah, he kind of was.
Yeah, Cap Predator.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite was probably the shield, but also close second was, so the thing that ripped off people's legs in it. So it was this like, someone's leg gets, you know, what's it called when you remove a leg? Amputated.
Oh, yeah.
And she finds this like circular thing embedded in the stump, and she takes it out, and then she like flicks it and it extends into like a knife thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, so you just like hit him with that, and it's like the slap bracelets.
Right.
But evil.
Well, and this goes to a lot of the Predator technology. So like in AVP, you get the first show up. Well, it's not the net is in the comics, right? So the net is fucking cool. The net in this one was great. There was a net scene where he fires it, where they net him, and then he's like, "Oh, you want to play with nets?" And he shoots this one guy with a net. And the way the Predator's net works is it lays out over you, and then it forms together at the bottom, and then it just proceeds to squeeze. It's just like,
and just it's like a
cubes you.
It cubes you.
Yeah, it's just like that first scene of Cube. And that was great. I wish it had shown him getting squozen out.
Yeah, it more implies it.
Yeah.
Just kind of a cube explosion.
That was great.
I think I just realized like why that one amputation thing works. Because like, yeah, it's like a slap bracelet, and that taps into 90s kids' fears of slap bracelets. It's like,
fears of slap bracelets?
Oh yeah. Didn't you ever get warned that like, no, you can't wear slap bracelets because it damages your veins?
No.
On your arm.
What?
Yeah. That's what every like kid of my generation felt like was going to happen if they used slap. It was like the equivalent of being told that cigarettes are bad for you. Like, what? This thing that I've been using for years?
That one must have missed me.
Is bad?
I never heard that.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Great movie. Anything? Oh yeah, we should probably mention like some of the callbacks to the original. I don't know if you caught all these. Well, the original and the sequel, I guess. First of all, it has like the cigar. It was like, Arnold smoked cigars. I'm pretty sure that was intentional.
Okay.
And then the line, "If it bleeds, we can kill it." That's definitely a callback.
Yep.
And then for some reason, and it doesn't quite work, Naru is given this flintlock pistol, and she like looks at the engraving on it.
Yep.
And I guess that's from Predator 2.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That the Predator got that from some French trapper back in the 1700s. But
yeah, he gave it to what's his fucking name? Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, to Danny Glover.
Thank you.
But that doesn't quite line up because, well, anyways, it's a callback, but kind of ruins the continuity of that story for Predator 2.
Wow.
Because how did the Predator...
Prey 2.
Get it?
Prey 2.
Yeah, Prey 2.
Gotta leave it open. Him dying in the mud.
Right.
Big throwback. Lots of throwbacks with the mud.
Or her crawling out of the mud.
Right.
Was very Predator.
By the way, if you're ever trapped in quicksand, what you do is you don't struggle in a vertical position.
Yeah, you lie back.
You kick your legs up to lie back and do the backstroke.
Yep.
Yeah. Get out that way. Backstroke your way out.
Or quicksand is actually pretty easy to get out of. Like if you see people actually in quicksand, it's like you sink very, very slowly. And if you just like wiggle back and forth and make enough room for your legs, you can just step out of it.
Like Oobleck.
Yeah. It literally is Oobleck.
Yeah.
Words of the wise. So, who should see this movie, David?
This is such a great general audiences movie. It's got a lot of violence, tremendous amounts of very satisfying violence, and yet still manages to be kind of a general audiences thriller. Mm-hmm. Definitely an action movie. If you are a big fan of the Predator franchise, this is a super solid installment. And it's got action for days.
Yeah. So, see it on Hulu. Yeah, it's great. 10 out of 10 from Horror Movie Talk. All right, so let's move on to our next bit, horror movie whores.
There's a little bit. If you call us at 682-253-4468, you can get on the show, and we'll say what's up. We'll be like, what's up? Do we have very many calls? I think we got some from Robert. I don't know. Robert the Farter.
Okay, I guess we don't need that many. We don't have that many, but yeah, we got one from Robert the Farter.
Oh, boy.
Hey, this is Robert the Farter. I listened to your guys' most recent podcast on Nope and heard you guys talking about hopeless movies, and you mentioned The Vanishing. That movie is so creepy and weird and awesome. The foreign one, though, because they remade it in the 90s.
Yeah.
American, and it doesn't have the same. Yeah, it's definitely not as good. Anyways, Stanley Kubrick even said that The Vanishing was the scariest movie he has ever seen. Also, in response to the lady who said that she liked you guys so much, she watched the Ernest Scared Stupid episode twice. And apparently that was a bad thing. I would watch that movie every single day.
Yeah.
I love that movie. That movie is so good. I've got a poster of it on my wall. I built my own Lego sets based on it. And one of my most prized possessions is my Jim Varney's autograph in my room.
Damn.
Anyways, okay, bye.
Oh, man, he farted. Yay.
We did not say that was a bad thing. If anything, we were excited that
she did. The caller did.
Oh, she said it was a bad thing.
Yeah, she was casting shade on it.
I mean, we really got to get Robert and her paired up. Like, it seems like a match made in heaven.
Dude, I kind of want to get Robert on the show, to be honest with you. I'm thinking about it. Hey, he's absolutely right. The Vanishing from 1988, which is, I think, Dutch and French and a few... It's a European film. Very creepy. We reviewed it on our Patreon exclusively, but he's right. Yeah, and I did see the remake, about half of it. It was remade 5 years later, American. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
No. With
Jeff Bridges, Kiefer Sutherland, and Sandra Bullock in 1993. Huh. And it does not hit the same. It does not hit the same. It's also got Nancy Travis in it. Super 90s callback with her. But yeah, it's all wrong. It just feels all Hollywood and not gritty and weird and quiet. Like, that was what was really creepy about The Vanishing to me, was like how matter of fact and normal slice of life it was, and then that ending, like, whew.
Yeah, part of the allure of The Vanishing is like just seeing how the real reactions of people around be like, what? This person just disappeared? Like slow down. What? Like,
yeah, just
I don't know.
Did you see her? Oh no! Hey, my wife. She's not here. Where is she? Have you seen her?
It's like, I don't know. There's a lot of people that come through here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I saw her. Like, oh, okay, thanks. And it just feels so real the whole way through.
In Hollywood, it'd be like taken. It'd be like,
right,
hold you by the scruff of your neck and be like, listen.
Yeah. It just feels very earnest and how it would really, really be.
Yeah.
If somebody in your life just ended up going missing, and you wanted so badly to find out what happened.
Yeah. Another caller.
Hello, boys. It's Joe Bear from Liverpool. I've just been listening. Mindy Kaling from The Office as James Bond? I don't think so. I'll give you the best female Bond. Hannah Waddingham from Ted Lasso and Game of Thrones. She's so classy, and what a body. I realise that I shouldn't objectify the woman, but damn. Anyway, love the show. Love you. See ya.
I am so aroused right now.
Yeah.
Who was that?
That was Joe Bear from Liverpool. I love hearing someone English like use urban American slang. Damn.
I am beside myself right now. I love that accent, and I love you, Joe Bear.
David's easily impressed.
That's easily impressed. That wasn't.
You've never heard an English accent before?
I have. That one was just breathy and beautiful.
Okay.
And sexy.
All right. She's not wrong about Hannah Waddington. Waddington? Whatever her name is. Do you know who she's talking about?
Is she the kind of wafy, slight gal from Game of Thrones?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, kind of the opposite.
Ooh.
So she's probably best known now from Ted Lasso. She was like the owner in Ted Lasso.
Mm-hmm.
But in Game of Thrones, she was the nun that was saying shame to Cersei.
Shame
to Cersei Lannister.
Shame. Oh wow. Yeah, she's very pretty.
Yeah,
Ooh.
she's very statuesque and gorgeous, but also appropriately imposing.
She's got that huge smile.
Yeah,
like all the teeth in her mouth.
Yeah, she would.
Julia Roberts smile.
She's definitely an actor that I could see commanding someone in sexual situations, like James Bond would.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
Should just remake Goldfinger with her, and like just
got a glove.
Have some guy at the pool like go back to the room, honey, and then slap him on the ass.
She's like, "You want to see my Goldfinger?" And he's like, "Yes, ma'am."
Have you ever seen Goldfinger?
Yeah, of course.
That's probably one of the best James Bond movies. Goldfinger.
Next caller.
Oh, I was going to sing the whole song.
Hey guys, it's Elizabeth. Just listening to Nope, which was a fantastic movie. Y'all are talking about The Simpsons, which I also happen to love The Simpsons. It's one of those shows that's on a constant loop in my house. I need to know your favorite episode or the most memorable episode for you because there's just so many good ones. And Treehouse of Horror does not count because the shinning is the only correct answer to that one. So, for me, I don't know what season it is, but the episode where they get a pool and Bart breaks his foot
That's a
jumping
great
from the
one.
treehouse into the pool, and then he's got like this whole conspiracy theory that Ned Flanders like killed his wife and that he just killed like the bush or something, and he's like, well, what was that woman scream we heard? And Ned just like screams like a woman apparently. I don't know, the whole episode is chaotic and hilarious, but favorite episodes go.
Yeah, that episode was the homage to Rear Window. Like if you didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Because it was Bart like sat up in his room in a cast when they just got their pool and were going to be kings of summer. With their outdoor pool. I have an answer for this one. I'll let you go first.
No, I'm letting you go first.
My absolute favorite, and has been probably since I was in high school, has always been Lisa the Vegetarian. It has so...
Why are you eating me, Lisa?
So, like, almost every minute of it has solid quotable jokes, but it also represents, like, every part of The Simpsons so well.
You'd be surprised how often you open a vegetarian meal and get a big hunk of pork. hunk of beef.
So
It wasn't Paul
it has-
McCartney in that episode?
yeah, Paul McCartney was the guest star, which is probably one of the best guest stars, and they used him perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Had the best Troy McClure informational video ever of the what's the food chain? Oh, it shows a picture of all animals pointing to humans.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, Billy, you ready to see the killing floor? Oh, no, it's not actually more of a floor. It's not really a floor. It's more of a sieve that lets material sluice through.
Yeah.
And then just like the premise of the episode and like the character work on it was so strong for Lisa. Good news, everybody. I have fresh gazpacho. It's
a good
Russian
episode.
tomato soup served ice cold. And then she pushes off the suckling pig. You're like, oh, it's just a little airborne. Still good. Still good.
When pigs fly, I'll be donating that $1 million to charity. When pigs fly. Will you be donating that $1 million now, sir? I think not.
Yeah. And then the one scene that I think of constantly and is so applicable in so many scenarios is the progressively younger and cuter sheep entering frame.
Yeah.
And then the original one comes back and they're like, get out of the way, you.
It's a great episode. I have a lot, and they are mostly centered around like the guests, because a lot of time, like the Rodney Dangerfield one where he's Mr. Burns' son. I really love Mr. Burns a lot. I love the Rodney Dangerfield episode. I love the Frank Grimes episode. Like, I live below one bowling alley and above another. And you're here in your beautiful house with your wife and 2.5 kids and you're eating lobster? And he just loses his mind. That's a great one because it points out how ridiculous Homer is, like,
right.
And not only that, like now it's pretty apropos because it's like, look at how boomers had it made.
You're right.
Like just like existing at the right time. But I think my absolute favorite one is season 8, episode 2. You Only Move Twice, with where they move to Hank Scorpio's side of the.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
That's a great one.
That's probably a close second for me.
It's got everything. It's got James Bond. It's got he's the James Bond villain, you know, like but he's like the most likable guy. Like and that's Albert Brooks.
Yeah. Where can I buy I was thinking about getting shit.
No.
I was thinking about getting hammocks.
Well, you're going to want to go down to Hammock. That's on 3rd.
Or you could go to Hammocks R Us.
Hammocks R Us. That's also on 3rd.
And
you're going to also want to check out, We Lay There.
Yeah.
That's on 3rd too. Actually, down in the Hammock District? Oh.
No, actually they're all on 3rd. Yeah. Down in the Hammock Emporium. Oh, in the Hammock District? Yeah.
Hey, this isn't faux dive. This is a dive. You're a long way from home, yuppie boy. And Mo makes him walk down that long, long, long hallway to his.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great episode. The one I thought you would have mentioned is what's his name? The celebrity. Was that believable to you?
Oh, yes, absolutely. That's
your favorite celebrity
That's
appearance.
my absolute favorite celebrity appearance is, what's his fucking name?
I keep thinking Jeremy Irons, but that's not right.
Oh man, no, it's the Quickie Mart. Oh damn it.
James Woods.
Yeah, fucking beep 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 cheese. All right,
Do I sound like a Quickie Mart, kind of guy?
James Woods is the best appearance on Simpsons, period. I'm sorry, you're just wrong. And Bryce and I have named the best appearances, I think. Well, it's so tough because there's 9 seasons of solid gold.
It's very situational too. Like he's probably the best example of utilizing the guest perfectly. Perfectly. Like, oh, you're a poo. Now how's the payment pedal on? I saw footage of you where you were on shift for 96 hours. At the end, I believed I was a hummingbird. Oh, wow, Apu. Is it true you took 6 bullets? Yes. The hot kiss of searing lead. How I've missed you. Yeah.
Apu is problematic. He's no longer.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah. And what's his face apologized for playing Apu for all those years.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because Apu was a interesting and unique person. Yeah, Apu wasn't so much a character.
Well,
as
yeah,
he
I mean,
was a real person to me.
Originally, it was a very, very much a stereotype, but they did fill out Apu's character.
Yeah, he
very
became
well.
a real person.
Yeah, just like anyone in the Simpsons cast. Like, is there any single extraneous character that hasn't had an episode dedicated to him by now?
Oh no. Yeah.
Probably another one that should be mentioned in the same breath is the Ralph Wiggum when he falls in love with Lisa.
Yeah.
That's a legendary episode.
Yeah, I like the one where Bart sells his soul a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. It's so
Please
dark.
bless our souls and Mother's soul.
And my soul. And let all our soul. I can't take it anymore. These high waters are great. My pants are my socks are soaked, but my pants are bone dry.
Yeah.
Buy me Bone Storm or go to hell. It's so much. There's so much good shit in Simpsons.
Yeah.
So yeah. Do we have any more calls? Is that it?
That's it.
Damn, 3 calls.
That's it for the calls.
Y'all got to get back on calling the show.
Yeah, I thought there'd be more since it's been a while.
I have to go pee so badly.
Okay, see ya next time, everybody. Go to our Patreon, check out the different tiers, and you can listen to us as we continue talking about bullshit. Or watch some of our patron-exclusive episodes. One of them that we mentioned was The Vanishing. We also have...
Coming up this month in a week or two, we're going to be releasing on Patreon only our review, a pretentious review of Blood Spattered Bride from 1972. Spanish.
So we'll see you next time, next Wednesday. Blah, blah, blah. Bye-bye.
Bye. We love you. Bye.
Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk.
An opinionated and accidentally funny horror movie review show. Go, 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 go.
I just took a stroll through the scraggly woods. He had no face! Horror!
Sabrina, don't just stare at it, eat it.
New theatrical releases always get priority.
But we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible.
Wow, that didn't sound good.
Hi, Robert England here, a.k.a. Freddy fucking Krueger. And you're listening to Horror Movie Talk.